Greetings, viewer. Thank you for joining Constant Kwong and Jeremiah Chan. We are the Revolution team. We're here in front of the Revolution fireplace, and this is our first fireside chats to talk to you about our favorite watches of Watches and Wonders 2023. So the first watch I would like to talk about is the Cartier Tank Normal. And I always say if Rolex is the king of sports and Patek is the king of complications, then we have to agree that Cartier is the king of elegance, and the Tank Normal is the perfect personification of this. You have this extraordinary watch with its beautiful platinum bracelet, with its iconic styling that was born in 1917 and yet somehow looks as fresh and relevant as ever today. I like this watch so much, and I have to say, I think at this point I'm honestly in danger of going completely broke, but I actually said, could I please purchase one of these beautiful 100 pieces of this watch? And incredibly, and Cartier, thank you so much for this because you're so kind to me, they said, you know what? We could potentially even do an NSO of this watch. An NSO is a special order watch.
Another one way?
Yes, as in the words of DJ Khaled, another one, exactly. And I said, wow, that would be extraordinary. And they said, well, do you have any ideas? And I said, actually, I would love to do a watch that is a companion piece to this. So this is my Ton Cintré from 2018, which has got this beautiful Rosé champagne dial with burgundy Roman numerals and black rhodium hands. And they said, okay, let's make a design for you. So I actually have the designs today.
Wow. No way.
I have not one, but two designs, gentlemen. Both of them with apple hands. But as you can see, the hands are different. On one side, you've got hands that are white rhodium, and on the other side, you've got hands that are black rhodium. And my question is, which one do you prefer? Constant.
Oh man, I would go for the white rhodium hands because of the whole overall watch is with this design, with the monochromatic look, with the case, the bracelets. You know, with the ruby cabochon, I love the ruby cabochon.
Yeah.
And you know, the hue that you use, the rosé champagne look. It really just works. I think it's really beautiful. I think please go for the white radium one.
Thank you very much.
I completely agree with Constant. Like tone-on-tone look, and I think it'll be a great companion piece, with your Ton Cintré. So it's going to be a great addition to the collection.
So maybe what we can do is ask the viewer, white rhodium hands or black rhodium hands? Which one do you prefer? We will absolutely take your opinion in consideration. Thank you very much.
And he's serious.
We'll see if you can influence Way's choice.
Absolutely. Yeah. So okay, we're going to go from me to you, Constant. What is one of your favorite watches of Watches and Wonders?
My favorite, it's number one would be the Oris Pro Pilot X, the one with the Kermit edition. I think that's such a cool watch. 29mm, super comfortable, super great on the wrist, super light. With neon green dial, I think it's something that's more fun, something that's more nostalgic, and it shows back to what Kermit represents, during the COVID pandemic as a state of optimism, right?
Yes.
And of course, the best part about the watch itself is the first day of the month. Kermit will be there in the date to say hi to you, and I think that's a lovely piece. So that's my number one.
I totally agree with that watch. It just makes you smile, and I would even go so far as to say that if you don't like that watch, then you clearly have no heart. No, because and also Kermit is who doesn't like Kermit? He was such a wonderfully relevant symbol during the COVID pandemic when there was these memes going around. Kermit reminding you to stay positive, which for me, I needed some reminder every once in a while during those few moments when I was sober. How about for you, Jeremiah? What was the first of your favorite watches from Watches?
Okay, I've got to go with JLC. I think the Reverso Tribute chronograph is an amazing watch. Skeletonized bridges on the chronograph. It's a dual face reversal. But what's cool about this chronograph is at 6 o'clock, there's a retrograde chronograph minutes counter. And I believe when it came out in 1996, the first variant of this watch, JLC had to develop a mechanism to kind of sync the chronograph seconds hand with the jumping of the retrograde function. And the CEO of JLC at the time was the great Gunther Blumler.
Yep.
And unfortunately he's no longer with us, but I think it's really his impetus of trying to elevate JLC again, during the 90s, it being the watchmaker's watchmaker and going back to what JLC does best.
Totally agree. I think the Jaeger, I say Jaeger because I'm not Jaeger because I'm not French. Jaeger absolutely smashed it this year, right? They made really beautiful, pure executions of the Reverso that are just wonderful. You just want to pick them up and put them on and wear them, right? And of those watches, I would agree the chronograph is phenomenal. I like also the fact that, as you were saying, it references a period of its history when you had the sort of renaissance of Jaeger. This was being driven forward by Gunther Blumlein, focus on the Reverso and elevating the complication dimension of it as well. Yeah. And this chronograph with its retrograde minute counter is a phenomenal example.
So I mentioned it's a dual face reversal, and other dual face reversals can be used as a GMT watch, right? You can have two different time zones indicated on each side of the dial. But this particular model has the wheel train completely connected. So it's as if when you flip the chronograph over to the front, the wheel train is moving in the opposite direction.
So they reverse the hands in the back,
Exactly.
right? So that goes in the correct direction.
Yeah, so
Phenomenal.
that's so cool.
Good. Okay, so watch number 2 for me is going to be, well, I'm going to give you a hint by holding this watch up, and that is in fact the 2018 limited edition of 10 pieces Chopard 1860, a tribute to the very original watch that Chopard L.U.C. created in 1997, right? With this incredible movement, the caliber 1.96, which was an absolute revelation when it was introduced back in 1996. Micro rotor, Geneva seal, cost certified, absolutely stunning, and a testimony to the internal content created by my friend Carl Friedrich Schäufele. Now, let's jump forward in time to this year, and they have released a new version of this watch. And this time, it's without the date window, and it is also hacking. So it's a stop seconds watch, which I think is incredibly cool, right? So there's been a little bit of conversation about the date window in this watch, right? And I agree, the new version of it is perfect. It absolutely does not need the date window. But if you want to understand why the date window is here, well, in the context of 1997, this is before the era of the smartphone. This is before the era of when you actually knew the date all the time, and you actually had to look in your calendar or go over to the wall and be like, oh, what's the date? Or ask your assistant if you were, rich enough to have an assistant. Assistant, what date is it? And then he would have to go to the calendar. So the point is, yes, now we are inundated by electronic information. Now we know the date all the time. Now we don't need it, but I understand why this is here. But that new version of that watch is sublime. That watch is just so beautiful. 36.5 mm when it was made in 1997, and incredibly the perfect size for today.
It's coming back.
Right. Although I do have to say that there's one great story about this watch, which I was wearing during the Watches and Wonders Fair of 2023 when I was invited to Caroline Schäufele's house and was seated one seat away from Julia Roberts, who's their ambassador.
Were you starstruck?
Extremely. I absolutely adore Julia Roberts, and actually Pretty Women to this day one of the best rom-coms of all time, right? So I remember at some point Caroline Schäufele got up and took a little walk around to say hi to all our guests, and it was just like basically me one seat away from Julia Roberts, and she looked at me and I was like so starstruck I didn't know what to say. She said, so what do you do? And I just managed to say, I am a professional watch nerd. And she said, oh, okay. And then she said, well, tell me about your watch. And I showed it to her, and she said, oh, I like that. You know what? Let me wear it during the meal. I'll give it to you. So she actually wore this watch during the meal.
So you're never going to clean it?
It's historical significance now.
Nice.
So I've set the number 2 watch for me. What about for you, Constant?
Oh, my number 2 is going to be, of course, the same brand. I love Chopard as well. The one I'm going to choose is the XPS Alpine Eagle.
I love that watch.
I think it is a beautiful watch. I love the Alpine Eagle first and foremost. And now with the new salmon dial, with the nice, beautiful textured salmon dial, small seconds in 41mm, and it's now using the Lucent steel, right?
Yeah, actually that steel was originally used in the very first Alpine Eagles that came out, but now as of this year, Chopard is exclusively using Lucent steel in all of its steel watches.
So in regular production,
exactly,
right? So
which is
it's fantastic, and I love that. I like that they take the green approach to watchmaking, to bring it to watchmaking, which is fantastic.
Amazing.
And of course, I'm a big fan of the L.U.C. micro rotor chronometer movement, right? So now they have. It's in the Alpine Eagle.
Dude, it's so nice.
It's so great, and
it's so nice.
I love that a lot. And the 2-on-2, the combinations together, I think that is a phenomenal watch.
And it's thin as well.
And it's super thin. It's like 8 mm.
Yeah, just over 8 mm.
Amazing, and
it's stunning.
amazing on the wrist. And I love the Alpine Eagle. I haven't get one, but this is the one that I think that I would definitely get it.
Go for it.
Great.
Jeremiah, your second pick.
Yeah, I'm going to go back with Cartier. I'm going to go with the Santos-Dumont skeleton.
Yeah.
I believe why I like that watch so much is because I think it's the first time that any Santos-Dumont comes with a skeletonized movement.
It's
elegant. Bridges, but with like hand-applied lacquer as well, and then a very symmetrical layout of the movement as well, with the balance, at the top left corner and then the barrel in the top right. The depiction of Alberto Santos-Dumont's first plane, Demoiselle,
that's beautiful,
right? On the micro rotor itself, I think it's made of tungsten, but it's a plated airplane on it.
Yeah.
I think it's just so cool. And again, it comes in the large size, 31mm in width by 8mm in thickness. Again, you talk about 8mm dress watch.
It's a phenomenal size.
Yeah.
So guys, thank you very much for joining us for part 1 of our Watches and Wonders 2023 summary. Stay tuned for part 2.